Welcome to the Gangcast, aka the Games and Not Games podcast. I'm your host, Janet Garcia, and joining me as always is Isaiah Smith.
Hello.
And if you're watching the video version, we have a very special third unmiked guest, Brucey Woosey. Our cat is sitting in my lap.
Meow, meow.
We'll see how long he's here for. I think on camera he looks strange.
He looks very uncomfortable.
I was gonna say, it looks like he's very uncomfortable. I promise that he's here on his own will.
He's just chilling.
He did side-eye the camera though, but his leg is like, cats are just weird. So
yeah.
But he's very excited to be in the host seat today. But how are you doing, Isaiah?
Good. Long weekend. Had a really fun weekend, which we're gonna get into in a little bit. Saw the Galaxy play and win at home.
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna.
It's a 4th of July miracle.
Yeah, we're not going too much. We beat Canada.
we did beat Canada. The one thing that is done a lot, definitely in soccer games. I don't know if other teams do this, but it's usually like an American team facing a Canadian team.
No, like
Fun
if
fact,
they can match that up.
The first time, I think this was before I met you. The first time I ever saw the Galaxy play was also 4th of July.
Oh, really? Like
we came to visit, and we said, "Oh, this seems like a fun thing to do for 4th of July." You know,
pretty cool.
Soccer games, some fireworks and stuff.
They played like Montreal or something.
I think it was another Canadian team. Yeah, so it was either Toronto.
That's pretty fun.
Or Montreal or something. But yeah, it was cool. Lots of good stuff happened at the game. Good game day.
Got cookies.
We got the cookies. We had a little squad with us.
Yeah.
Shout out to my brother and Nikki. And some anti-ice messaging in the crowd. Like it was all up. We won. We scored a bunch of goals. We had like some funny situations of like the other team like practicing on the field afterwards. There was a red card. It was a very spicy, entertaining game.
There was a lot that happened that
game. Of Mice and Men did all those covers, and the covers were like insanely good.
Yeah, the guitars from Mice and Men.
It was a good game for like. I mean, it was a good game for everybody. I feel like if you were casually watching, it was definitely one of the more exciting games. There was a penalty kick.
You don't see that many. No, at least not from us.
No, so yeah, it had a lot. So if you were, it was a good day to be a casual as well, because I think even someone who doesn't like follow soccer would be like, high scoring game, like exciting things happening.
Yeah.
Cute little fireworks at the end and stuff. So yeah, good times. Are you ready to get into games?
Let's talk games.
To get into games. Today we're talking about Slay the Spire, the video game. I have the board game in the background, unopened, because we haven't played it yet.
Why not? Why haven't?
Because we have Gloomhaven under the table, and I think, are you just waiting to finish that? I'm down to play it at any time.
I think for the most part, I guess that is true. We are kind of spread thin on the board game table.
Yeah, we'd have to move a lot of stuff around.
Yeah,
we could always play above the table, but that feels
whack.
That feels gross.
Yeah,
so.
Why would we get this table if we're gonna play on top of it?
Again, what we need is a second board game table for casual. Though Slay the Spire, I don't think is a casual game. I'm not sure. I can't see how long to play from here. I'll try to Google it.
I think I see 60 minutes.
So for us, it's going to be like 3 hours.
12 and up. Yeah. It's not. It shouldn't be
a quick 3 hour
too bad, but it'll probably. Well, hopefully now that we're both getting a little bit more familiar with what is Slay the Spire.
Sorry, the cat just ran away.
Maybe it'll be a little bit quicker, a little easier to get into whenever we do boot it. This will be one of the first, I think, like tabletop games that we'd come in with like external knowledge about.
Yeah, which is fun. So
yeah.
People, cool. I heard it's the I can't remember for a fact that Kados played this from Remap, but I think they maybe did and said it's like just as good.
Okay.
But I worry that I'm hallucinating that opinion and that they never said that.
You're just making that
but
up.
Definitely someone told me that. I want to say it was Kato, but I don't know for sure. Because like a lot of board gamers,
lying.
Kato also has the plague of like games that you don't play, which if you play board games, like you have plenty of things that you haven't really played. Anyway. But yeah, Slay the Spire, the video game. I started this on my Nintendo Switch 2 because we were experimenting with the game share function. And I was looking at your library to see, like, is there anything that you could share with me that I didn't already have? And Slay the Spire was one of those games. But funnily enough, when you sent it to me, like, so explain how game share works.
Game share is Nintendo's solution to digitally sharing your library with your family members, your friends and families, or close circle, whoever. There's a couple rules to it, which I think are, I guess technically I have to say they're better than no rules at all. Like it's better than it not being a function at all that you can do, but it is like in classic Nintendo fashion, it is the worst way to do something that otherwise could have been just really cool. One, you I believe have to be in a Nintendo Switch Online family together. Because when I go to like choose who I'm sharing to, the option is like choose from your Nintendo Switch Online family. Now maybe I'm just misremembering or misread it, and it actually is like, oh no, you could just enter a friend code or something like that. Totally possible, but I am under the impression currently. Geez, Bruce, you're really getting in there. I am under the impression currently that it needs to be your Nintendo Switch Online family member. You do that, then you have to have. I was also under the assumption that the first time you do this, you need to bring the switches together for them to like communicate under the hood. Tech wise, it's probably like sharing some like public private key kind of handshake scenario set off. Cool, makes sense. I get that. That's fine. The first time that I'm sharing to somebody, you want to make sure you're not getting scammed as well. So like you're, in person, we're going to share this. It'd be great if you didn't need to be in person like every other platform, but hey, for Nintendo, you need to be in person. Then you give them the card. They will virtually download it to their system. It's virtually removed from your system, and you're good to go. You get it for like up to 2 weeks, and after 2 weeks, if you don't manually sort of pull the card back to your system, it'll auto sort of expire on the remote switch.
It looks like it might be separate from the family thing, just to be.
Well, I'm not saying you need the family plan to. Like, I'm not saying you need a paid family plan to do it. Maybe it's just the way you choose who you're switching, like who you're giving to. Then.
I'm looking at it now, though. In your defense, it's not very clear. So which is also why I asked. Yeah, I don't think I'm looking at the like Nintendo's official like game share explainer. It does not mention anyone needing to you need to be in a family.
Okay, cool.
But I guess what have your feelings been with? And then I think I game shared something with you at one point.
Yeah, Hades. I think you.
Yeah. So how have you felt about this process?
I mean, again, it's better than like literally nothing, which is what the Switch 1 had, as far as like digitally sharing your games. But of all the like of Xbox, of PlayStation, of even just Steam, it's just like the worst implementation of this, where it's like every time you share, and again, this is just from our experience here. I shared this with you, some weeks ago originally, and then it expired.
And I didn't play it, yeah.
And then I went to go share it with you again, and I had to like bring our switches together, presumably to do this like handshake thing. And I'm like, well, why? I already shared with you. You're like, are you not in just like the history of people I shared with before? Can I not just infinitely share games with you as I like see fit now, kind of thing? And it's like, no, you can't. So, I don't know. I guess somehow Nintendo still makes it better to be a physical buyer if you're like someone who's like really into sharing games, because you can also I think only share one game per person,
which I think is like,
which is insane.
Yeah, I don't think that makes any sense. I think that's
like, not only are they time limited, but there's a cap as well. I can only, like, if I'm sharing Slay the Spire with you, I cannot share Mario Maker 2 or anything else with you. I have to take back Slay the Spire and then presumably get our switches together again, and then give you a second game after that, kind of thing. So, yeah, man, I don't know.
Do you see some things mentioning the family thing? So it is unclear on if we can. And since we're in a family, we can't really test that very easily.
Yeah.
I'll
leave. Don't worry.
I think it. No, you have to stay because why else am I paying for it? Yeah, I really don't like it very much, if I'm being honest. Again, it is better than what we had before, which was nothing. I know there are some workarounds for sharing libraries, but they tend to be, I think, more like parent-child, or like easier to implement if it's like a parent-child. Like, we're all playing on the same Switch, but like, it's like, oh, well, I could log into both and have like, but then I'd be making, Isaiah Switch my like secondary, and then it would just be messy. Versus, I think the best one in my experience has been PS5. Though I imagine Xbox has like a similar
I think setup. Xbox, at least like as far as what
I just don't think we've used it like as much, so we haven't where it's just like, hey, and again, it's still only just between like the two people and works best like when you're in the same household, but yeah, I think this is like I think this had the opportunity to be arguably like one of the best systems for sharing games, even if it was just limited to family. And I think it really fumbled off two things alone. Number one, the 14-day like return policy, which is like very like, I feel like they're trying to replicate game rentals more than replicating game sharing. And I think that's a mistake. And then also the need to be over local, where it's like, especially for like in the context of the family plan, because I have family members that like don't live with me that are on that plan. And it's like, and I think that won't be that wild of a thing to happen. Or even it's just like from a practical standpoint, okay, your kid's at like their friend's house and they want to like borrow a game from you. It's like, well, you can only do that over local, I think is very limiting. So
it's like just bad enough. And I have to imagine that someone somewhere in like an office building came up with this idea of it's just bad enough to kind of incentivize you to just buy a game.
Genuinely,
twice.
I am looking at like what I'm just gonna buy Slay the Spire, I think, because the other thing too, and we'll see if I want to make like some content on this like standalone, like maybe it'll be a TikTok, maybe it'll be an article, but the I'll have to see how I want to word it because I am jokey and I don't want people to take my jokes too seriously because I don't literally mean it this way. But the virtual game share, it makes me feel broke. I feel like I felt broke going to you and being like, Isaiah, can you reshare Slay the Spire? And then knowing I only have it for like the 14 days. And then I'm also like a little nervous about like the smoothness of my saves. Also, God forbid I'm in the middle of a run when the time expires. Yeah. So I just feel like I'm just going to buy it because it's, and it just genuinely like, I hate how, again, if I give you a cartridge, you just have the cartridge. Like, I don't even necessarily mind. I believe they have it implemented where, well, actually, I'm confused on this. Can you play at the same, like, could you play Slay the Spire right now?
You have it. Like, you have my digital
that's
copy.
also stupid because it's like the point of it being digital is that, like, I don't have it, though.
Yeah.
Like, because at least with physical, it's like, well, I can't play Tears of the Kingdom because I gave it to you or something. But again, if I give it to you, and I understand maybe them worried about, like, what if somebody doesn't give you back your game? But they should just make it so that the owner can pull it at any time they want, not like a auto return. Like, why? Not to mention, too, 2 weeks is like
nothing.
Really small for a game. Like, I mean, there's a reason that like, and again, I think they could have done this too, and it would have made more sense for like a library system, like a physical like book library system, where at our library, and I think a lot of them, you take out a book and it's like, I think it is defaulted to 2 weeks, but it might be even more. And they auto renew like for all the books. The only time they don't auto renew is if someone has that book on hold, and then they'll be like, "Hey, someone else is waiting for it. Bring it back." Again, there's no late fees anymore, at least in I think all of California, if I'm remembering that correctly, or at least like the LAPL district. But they do have there's no auto renew on new books. So if you take out a new book, it's like, hey, that's 2 weeks. You gotta bring that book back because this book is hot in the streets. I could live with them doing something like that, trying to like, you know, oh, Donkey Kong, like you don't have it for 2 weeks before it, you know, just to try to really incentivize you like buying it, I guess. But yeah, I don't like it. I'm just going to buy Slay the Spire because I don't want to live with it. And then I'm also kind of like a little scared how that process is going to work. Is it going to be weird about, it should be the same save data. So I imagine it's fine.
It'll be fine.
But honestly,
again, I think this is their point.
Literally, the next time I die or beat the game, I'm just gonna buy the game because. Though I should look. Do they have a physical copy of? Probably only at like the bougie.
I think so, actually.
Like, is it a regular physical copy though, or is it? That's the thing. If it's like, well, the whole thing is it's limited. So I'll look into that. It looks like a physical copy generally exists, but it's also funny because you just type in Slay the Spire physical, and now the board game comes up, which is funny. Physical video game. Anyway, so I'll look into that. Then I could actually share it with people and it wouldn't be wild. But anyway, let's get into the game itself. But I did want to talk a little bit about how I'm playing it. And then another reason I got this was because I'm like, I need some juice on the Switch too right now. We're at the time of recording, we're only like a couple days, like maybe like low double 10 days or something away from Donkey Kong. So that's cool. But like Donkey Kong ain't today. And what am I like? how can I start to enjoy this console a little bit more? How else can I enjoy it by playing one of the lowest resolution games I've seen in modern indie game history, Slay the Spire. What is your history with Slay the Spire?
Yeah, I played Slay the Spire.
This is a you game.
This is very much.
This is a you episode, actually.
Yeah, unintentional. Yeah, no, I think I discovered Slay the Spire probably soon after it came out. I got it originally on Switch, but eventually got it on mobile, eventually got it on Steam. I wanted to just be able to play the game kind of wherever. I certainly did not, 100% the game and beat it with like all the characters and everything like that and do all sorts of crazy runs and everything like that. But like I put dozens and dozens and dozens of hours into this game. And now again, enough to justify buying it on multiple platforms. And it's to me it's a like I'm not gonna say perfect strategy game, but it is like a very, very, very good creme de la creme like strategy roguelike where you're deck builder. It's you're building a deck. Different characters have kind of different mechanics that all kind of like play a little bit off of each other. Like you can mix and match some cards in some ways and stuff like that. And like the whole idea is that you're trying to make your way from the bottom of a map to the top of a map, going along like these kind of like dotted lines with events along the way. The events can be sort of like minion battles, elite battles, which are like just stronger one-off enemies or recurring enemies, but like usually one at a time. Shops, traps, stores, rest points, and then ultimately you end up at a boss, kind of boss fight at the top of the map. And it's about being strategic in which route you try to take up the map and what you do at the stops, what cards you might upgrade along the way or lose along the way, or how you adjust your deck and what relics you might pick up that kind of have these like longer campaign-y kind of effects on your run and everything like that. Fantastic game. I love this game, and I'm very excited for Slay the Spire 2 whenever that comes out.
I'd been avoiding this game for... When did this game come out?
Let's see. That is a really good question.
I feel like it's like a 2019 or earlier joint. Maybe I'm dating it too late, but
the Spire.
As you look that up, I've been avoiding this game since it came out because deckbuilder roguelike, no thanks.
2017.
2017.
Yeah, 2017.
Okay. And then as time has gone on, it's become more of a pillar of like, if you want a roguelike deck builder, this is the core of the genre, like in the modern sense at least. So then to me, it's always signaled as if you want to find the root of most of your modern disinterest, it's this video game. So I'm like, no thanks. But I do know it's a really good game. And I have and kind of am continually looking to branch out into genres that I don't play as much. So I was like, you know what? Let's give it a try. The other reason I didn't go for it is that everyone I know that likes this game is a brainy freak. I don't know a regular person that plays Slay the Spire. If you're normal and you're playing Slay the Spire, speak now. I'm sure there are regular people playing it because it's that popular of a game that like surely like regular people play this game and enjoy it. But again, it's kind of like I don't know, maybe self-fulfilling prophecy. Like a lot of the people I know that play it, like they're like big card game, big strat, they're in the pocket of big brain. And I was like,
in the pocket of big brain.
And I was like, you know what? I don't need to be here. I'm not supposed to be here. Then I started playing it. This game is like actually like very clear and simple and chill in a way that I was not expecting it to be. Some light asterisk to that. We'll get into my, me fighting the game, me saying the game is keeping secrets from me in a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I think it feels like any other game where you're doing attacks. Like it feels like just a turn-based video game, which like, the difference between an attack and a card is that the card has more art than a selected attack is really the only difference. Pokemon the video game could be a card game if they just put the cards, but they don't. So it's like, no, this is an RPG. It's not a deck builder, but it would be a deck builder, I think, if you adapt,
very
which it's
easily
interesting
morph
that
that
it's
into one, yeah.
that it was adapted to not be a card game. I think that's kind of interesting, like the video game, because the video game is after the card game. Yeah, I'm not like messing that up.
I'm pretty sure.
So yeah, it's kind of interesting that it's not a card game. They made it into a regular game. So if they had made Slay the Spire a regular game, we'd be having this conversation on a yacht. But yeah, other things that stuck out to me playing it, besides the fact that, wow, this is actually a really simple game. Don't let the big brain people don't want you to know that Slay the Spire is easy and regular. Though I wonder if as I get up the little tower, if it's going to start to be like, well, if you didn't build this wild hand of strats, you're going to get your ass whooped. That is my fear. And based on your face, I'm wondering I think that fear is true.
I don't think so. I think it's fair to say that like it does get tougher, but it gets tougher in the way that like kind of like a Balatro, right? Like you love Balatro.
I can't finish Balatro though consistently.
But my thing is like there are for sure strategies and strats that kind of like present themselves as you're progressing through the blinds and everything. And it's like, well, if you like, there is some responsibility on you to like see those and lean into them when you can and things like that.
I'm hearing that I'm not going to beat this game.
But the game is not like you playing the game, you beating one of the first bosses is like you've experienced everything the game has to offer. It's just going to be more of that.
Yeah, I do feel like this game is easier than Balatro by like a good amount. I think because and we'll see. I think as I play more of it and as if I hopefully beat it, I'll be able to have a more definitive claim to this. But the thing with Balatro, even though Balatro is kind of in a way more fun than Slay the Spire, because Balatro has like better vibes, like the art is nicer. The art in Slay the Spire is really ugly. I was surprised by how ugly it was.
It's so weird that you say it's ugly. I think it's
I think it doesn't look very good.
It's character. What do you mean it's ugly? It's not ugly. It's
when I told you the art's kind of ugly, you said that's part of its charm. That is what you said to me on the sofa.
The art style is a part of its charm. You called it ugly. I called it charm.
But it just is very like flat and kind of undetailed, which again, ugly is a little dramatic, but that was my first genuine response. Like, of course, being a little bit more contextualizing it against the many other games that exist. This is fine. It's serviceable, but it does look like worse than a lot of these other like card games. I see even something like Wild Frost looks 1 million times nicer than this game. And Wild Frost looks kind of like, I mean, it looks fine. I wouldn't say that it,
Yeah.
I don't look at Wild Frost and think, wow, this art is stunning. I just think, oh yeah, it looks nice. It's cute.
Sure.
But it's very like simplified.
I wonder, is that
dry.
Just like the quality of it, or is it the actual like art style that they go for? You know what I mean? Because like one is very much a more painted, not like oil painting, but like painted kind of aesthetic to it.
Like Wild Frost, you mean?
Huh?
Like Wild Frost or
Slay the Spire is more of like a painted, like painted characters that they're like animating the sprites of. It's like no one really has like animation frames. You know what I mean? Everything's like pretty static, and then they're just like moving and blooping things around the screen to give motion and life to characters. Whereas something like Wild Frost or whatever is like probably has more like idle animation and like actual frames that like characters are like moving through, they're animating through and everything. So which, man, I gotta play more Wild Frost.
I played like a little bit of it on like a PAX or something.
Games
yeah, it's just it surprises me. It surprised me a little bit how like I've seen it before, but like I've never really looked at it. Like I know what it looks like, but I never really like actually got a good look at it. And then playing it, I'm like, oh wow, this is she a little flat, she a little dry. It's a little stiff. It's a little like early drafts. Like it feels like the game you see, and then they said, and then this is what the final product is, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah. But this feels like earlier than that, which is just surprising to me, as someone that hadn't really played it before.
I think they're doing a little bit more with Slay the Spire 2, so I feel like maybe that it is still very much like the same aesthetic, the same, the art director who did one is like clearly still doing the other, but it seems like they're being a little bit more high fidelity with like the images and animations and things like that.
Yeah, like there's something about it that just it feels a little lifeless, and not even just the animation work, but something about like something about it, because I've seen simple stuff before, and I don't know. Yeah, it's just it's very specific in a way that I wasn't expecting. And my other surprise was that there's little like fun little adventure story bits in the middle. And again, they're not like narrative through line bits. Like I don't think at one point they're gonna be like, and the Spire was the friends you slayed along the way or something.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like these moments of almost like D&D, like, oh, you come across like
sure,
you know, a suspicious dent in the floor. Do you inspect it or not, or whatever? And inspecting it, it tells you what you get, which I think is a little bit like less narratively exciting to like know already. Like you just like, these are your options. Like they kind of like, they like obfuscate it with the language of the writing, but then they like tell it to you just like, this means one card, this means whatever, which I get from a deck building perspective is nice to know, but I would be a little more, I would find the game more fun if it didn't tell me that, and I just got to like pick a thing and get the consequence after.
That is not something that happens all the time. Like there are moments of it telling you what you get. There are moments of it being randomized
mysterious.
And mysterious. Yeah.
I prefer the mystery a little bit more. So far, I've only gotten the like, you take a chance, you get one random card, or you don't take a chance, you pick a card, kind of thing. But yeah, those are, I think, some of my initial impressions of the game. I don't know what has it been like for, you've been watching me play this game a lot. I feel like I am physically torturing you by having you watch me play this.
Physical torture, no.
Because I have a rule of you can't tell me what I should be doing.
Yeah, you wanna play the game by yourself.
Go my own way.
Exactly. Which I think is totally fine and fair. It is how I would want to experience the game myself. I'm torn though, because
nothing's fine, I'm torn.
Maybe we can get into a little bit now with the like whole the game telling you things and the game not telling you things. Is there are moments where you'll come across something and I'll be like, oh well, you could have done this, or like, oh, like, did you notice that this was an option? And you'll say like, no, the game didn't tell me that.
Yeah.
It wasn't clear, I didn't see that, or blah blah blah. And it's like, all right, well, I don't know if I should be speaking up for things that I think you're missing versus telling you what I would do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it's that you did see this thing and you just chose not to do it, or if you just didn't notice this thing.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you something that the game sort of trial and errors people into. Yeah.
I'm keeping hearing you at a minimum. So I've accepted like two things, and I'm very early into the game, so I don't find these to be too like mechanically spoilery, but obviously, that'll be listeners' discretion on if they want to know anything about this game at all. One early thing was, I think the very first thing that I didn't know was there's a card. I like did the first run and died, and then I unlocked a new character. The second character is called The Silent.
Which is my favorite character.
And yeah, and I'm like, oh wow, this is your friend, because I remember I've seen you play the game sometimes, so I've seen this guy before. I was like, this is Lazy's little buddy.
Yeah.
And one of the cards I got during this time, I forget what it does, but in the left corner it tells you like the cost of the card, which is like energy. You start with 3 out of 3 energy. At least the first 2 characters do. Maybe other characters have different builds. And the card requires X amount of energy, X being like kind of any amount, because like you'll do, I think the effect is like decreasing strength, like applying weak or something. And you do like more of that, the higher your energy is. So if I do it at the start of my turn, it's like, 3 out of 3, that's going to be like a bunch. At the end, it's less. But I didn't know that you could do it with 0 energy. Because like, that doesn't make any sense to me, but there are like contexts where like you might have a card where it's like for every card you play, something happens. And then that would be like, sure, you are playing a card that does nothing, but you get the benefit of having played a card.
Yeah.
So like that's a reason to do that. But it says that you need some, like, to me, I read that as I need some energy to do this. And it's like, no, you just need, it's like whatever amount you have, even if what you have is nothing. And then Isaiah's like, oh, well, the cards you can play are glowing blue. And when you can't play a card, it's not glowing blue. But when you're playing like on a turn, everything's fucking blue. So I just thought that's like what the art was.
Just the style of
I'm not like thinking about, oh, like, have you noticed this subtle UI change? I'm like, no, because it's like it's so subtle that I don't notice anything. And to me, that's also just not like, for my personal learnings, it's not cute enough for me to have picked up on that, because there's not there. If there is an audio cue, it's very subtle. Part of that is also that the OST is loud as all hell. I had to put that thing down because I'm like, I can't hear my own fucking thoughts playing this game. Like, I'm like, okay, well, I need this many block, and I get 5, and then I get 3, and the game's like, I don't even know. Do you know how the OST goes? It is a pretty memorable one, but now I'm blanking on the kind of noise of it.
I can play it in my head, but I can't.
But yeah, like it's this isn't the OST, but it'll just be like, okay, well, 5 plus 3 minus, and they're like, dun, 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 dun. I'm like, okay, like, relax. Can we relax a little bit? I'm like trying to do math. Yeah, so that's been something. And then like another thing that I didn't get was like, there's a card that like you can become burned, and if you become burned, there'll be a card in your hand where at the end of your turn it'll be like, oh, you take like 2 damage or something. And there's a card that lets you like, it'll be like, oh, you can, 5 block, but you have to discard a card or something, or 8 block, you have to discard a card. It's like, oh, you can discard that card, because it's like, well, you can't play it, but you can discard it. And it's like, shut up. Shut up. This is why my community, the dumbs, don't come here, because it's always like, well, it's very much giving like, in the Bible, God says that he'll never, after the flood that destroys everything on the planet, Noah's Ark, he's like, oh, I'll never, he displays a rainbow. It's his covenant to man, promising to never destroy the earth again with water. And it's just like, fuck you. Like, it's like, I don't know. Like, I feel like it's giving that a little bit. But in the game's defense, if it was more tutorialized, I think it would make for a more boring game. I do think a lot of games fall victim to like the intense tutorialization. On the other side of that, though, I think a happy medium that I would have liked for like my own personal taste for like learning as a player is a rolling tutorialization. So but it's tough because like the way they set up the game, it would be hard to do that.
Yeah.
Though I think there are still ways around it. Like, I think they could have done something like, in that moment when they introduced the burn, like, I don't know, it kind of feels like one of those things where my frustration with something like that is I feel like the people that know that, like, you are very much like on it with like playing these kinds of games where you're like, oh, well, yeah, it says that you can't play it, but I can discard it, but I am not going to pick up on that. So I feel like you, as someone that picks up on that, you're going to get it no matter what. So I don't feel like it hurts you if you're told that, because you would have gotten that anyway. But it does hurt me for not being told that, because I don't get that anyway. So I feel like it punishes people that don't get it and doesn't like give anything extra to people that do get it. Or I don't know, as someone that does get that, would you feel less excited if the game told you that? Would you feel like, oh, I want to figure that out on my own?
I guess it's tough, because I feel like that is one of the cool things about games like this, is like you piecing the pieces together. Like,
yeah, you guys like to feel better than everybody else.
No, it's the freaking Zelda Ultra Hand of like games, where it's like, oh, cool. I never thought, like, it's cool when you come across the thought of putting a rocket on top of fucking Baka Goblin and seeing him shoot off into space or something. But if the game told you to do that as a part of tutorial, that's still cool. It still like gets the gears turning. I'm like, oh, okay, this is kind of how I can use a rocket to do whatever. But it's, I don't know, just the epiphany yourself is always, I think, better than tutorialized epiphanies.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm torn. I do think hearing that you like Slay the Spire, to me,
yeah, also that's not clear. I do like the game. I know I've been kind of well, the thing is, like, I will always have like the angry emotion playing these games a little bit, just because I do think they're a little games like this do tend, and this is again much easier than I thought it would be. I thought this was going to be like some bullshit, some real like. And then actually, if you apply your frosted shield, the ice has double damage on when I play my fire card. It's like I can't. I'm not gonna do all that. Yeah. This is very simple. It's like hit, block. Block with something else, and I think it scales really nicely. But yeah, I mean, it is tough because like the thing that I do struggle with these games is the little like stuff like that where they're like, have you been looking carefully? Because actually, like it feels like some, and I think that's why I don't want to hear from you, because you are like a real life version of that person over your shoulder. I noticed that you didn't actually use your full block thing, but did you know that if you had applied the buff at the start of the game, that means for every block you do, a meter fills invisible behind the thing? It's like, okay, sorry.
I feel personally attacked.
Sorry, I'm not a fucking genius, okay? So, yeah, but you were saying hearing that I like Slay the Spire. That
I think that Monster Train, which is Monster Train 2 actually recently came out. I want to get it. I've been, looking forward to playing it at some point. It's on we're now entering that time of year where like if you're not on top of new games, your backlog kind of is starting to build up, at least for me. So that's like on the top of one of the backlog I have. But I think if you like and Slay the Spire, I think you might enjoy Monster Train.
I'm gonna stick with my Spire for a while.
That's fair.
At least
totally
until
fair.
I beat it, and then we'll look. Another game I want to go back to is Inscription, because I couldn't play that. And by couldn't play that, I mean I literally I tried playing it. I enjoyed playing it. I could not progress, and I think that's one of my struggles with these games. And we'll see what happens with Slay the Spire. It'll get the full dumb stamp of approval if I can beat this game, because one of my beasts with these games is it does feel like to be able to play it, like kind of anyone can, but to be able to beat it, you really have to like be actually good. And like it feels like there's not, in a lot of times in these games, there's not a great on-ramp into being good. And I think the people that succeed, it's like survivor's bias of the like, well, the strats are going to present themselves. No, to you, because you can see them. I don't see any of that. I'm seeing my own thing. I also have a tendency to see only like one specific solution to things. So it's hard for me to like build divergent ideas, like a wide spread of ideas. So we'll see. It's going fine so far. Was definitely because I did the first boss. I don't know how are they like, is it one of those things where there's 32 bosses, but you only like fight 3 per run, so you're always seeing a lot? Is it like there's only 5 and they mix them up? Like I'm not really sure.
I think it's from what I remember, it's closer to that kind of situation. Yeah.
So it went pretty well. I was definitely concerned because like the first attack was something stupid, like 32 damage or something, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna block like 12 of this, like, and just eat the rest of it. But yeah, and I think it's what I like about Slay the Spire is I think it's not too. It doesn't feel as heavy on the deck building as other deck builders. I feel like other deck builders, they're like, you're basically making the deck this second, and this feels more like slowly making they're making the deck a lot more slowly in Slay the Spire. Like sometimes they give you something, and when they give you stuff, they like it'll be I know there is like at the shop you can like remove a card, and I'm sure at some point I will have to start like, oh, your deck's too big and you have to remove cards now or something like that. But like it doesn't feel too much like I feel like I have to make the decisions like really spaced out, so it's like you could get more time to like spend with stuff, which is helpful. I like the relics a lot. Those are fun little buffs.
Relics are really cool.
Yeah, like the potions are cool. I like they limit the amount that you can have, so it makes me use them. So I like use my little potions, and I have a card that I get potions, so it's like cool. Use my potion card. Pretty much always use it if it's there, because I think it's free energy. Like it doesn't cost anything, so it's like, okay, I just get one, and if I want to keep it, I keep it. And if I want to use it this fight, I use it because it's basically free. Yeah, it's not too bad. I want to start upgrading my cards more. I tend to just rest because I want full health all the time.
Yeah, you're really honing in on keeping max health.
Keeping my health, yeah. I do wish.
Fair,
last time I died was because I lost all my health. So now I feel like
bad news is how you're gonna die every time.
Who says I'm dying this time? I'm not.
You're right.
I got my Switch 2 ready to go. I think the other thing, what was I gonna say about this game? You can upgrade the cards. I kind of lost my train of thought, but like, yeah, it's going okay, and it's very like simple and chill. So we'll see how things continue. But what's your biggest fear and your biggest excitement for the rest of my playthrough, my at home stream of Slay the Spire?
I feel like it's inevitable that, and again, similar to a Balatro, similar to all these kind of like roguelike, you're gonna get really far and feel really good and then die. And I don't know if that's gonna just be like, you know what, I'm done with this game. It's too hard. Like, I don't know if you'll throw in the towel or if you'll be like, no, I know I can do it. Like, I got this far. I can see the strat. I know where I messed up. Let me try again.
It depends how many times it happens. Because I will say, like, I really like playing Balatro a lot. It's probably the most amount of hours I've put into a roguelike deck builder, which isn't saying a lot, but like, you know, I have some, I don't know if I can even see my Balatro hours on my computer easily. But I only beat it one time, and it was with heavy assistance from my colleagues. I still really liked playing it, and at the end of the day, games are about having fun. But like, okay, well, usually that's said by people that have beaten the game. I gotta be honest with you. 9.5 hours in Balatro, which is, I know people put like 1 million hours into this game, but for me, to play a game for 9.5 hours and have only beaten it once is actually like criminal and kind of embarrassing. But yeah, I don't know. It's still like, it was a fun process. So I think as long as I'm having fun with it, that'll keep me going. But yeah, like, I guess kind of lightly back to my Inscription thing. Yeah, Inscription was, I felt that way about Inscription, where I was having a really good time with it, but I'm like, well, I don't know, I can't beat it. So, and not even I can't beat it. Like, I didn't get to like 90% of the like, oh, what really makes this game exciting. It is like, but
different decks,
but like main, like no. I just mean like the fact that, like, without giving it away, Inscription has like funky card game stuff of like, and obviously like very, very early in that game, like one that first like, whoa, like you can like walk around the room and like investigate the room. It kind of has this weird, and I can't even really spoil this game because I don't even know enough to spoil it. Though I did find out some stuff later where I was just like, y'all can just tell me because I am not going to get there. So I don't really care anymore about your little mystery. But yeah, it has like some funky like walking sim elements and some funky kind of almost like escape roomy vibes. Like, ooh, what's going on? But like, I missed most of what people praise that game about. I haven't even seen because I'm literally on like the first like map or something. Like, I just couldn't do it. But it's been a number of years, and I feel like roguelike deck builders, card games, in-game board games, like those are all like kind of a style of smart people game that like I'm better at than other smart people games, but not very good at generally. So, but it's been a lot of years, and since Inscription came out, I've played a lot more board games. I've played a lot more RPGs, turn-based games, like other video games or nerd tabletop games that have like translated the information into these games. So I feel like the real roguelike is just trying to get good at video games and coming back. So I've actually been on this run for like 6 years, and now my Slayer of the Spire is actually stronger than he was when he first entered. I don't know. So I'm cautiously optimistic about my ability to beat Slay the Spire, because I do feel like I know more about these kinds of games because I've played more of these games. But it's also tough because like I've played more, but have I actually gotten better? Because I've played a lot of hours of Smash Melee, and I'm not very good at the game. So I don't know. Any parting words of wisdom as a smart watching me play this game?
I think almost like soccer or something like that. I think there's benefit to just doing runs that are purely almost or I mean, it's not soccer, but like a blueprint kind of thing. I think there's value in doing runs just to like see what the limits of the systems are, and like making choices that you don't necessarily want in the moment, but to like learn what does this card mean, and like being able to know like, oh,
Be
okay,
one with the cards.
like this is or like in like Claire Obscure, right, where it's, you know, with again, still not doing spoiler stuff for Claire, but it's like, oh, like I'll come across a Picto and it's like, why would I ever want this?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, no, I now know why this might be good in a scenario like this or something like that. Like just learning what the game is offering so that you can know what pieces to lean more into.
Yeah, and I think to sort of end it, I should probably speak a little bit more towards like what I like about the game, especially because I sound very like I'm enjoying it, but I'm mad. Like, yeah, it's like I said, it's fairly easy. Like the hardest thing I've encountered is just some of that like internalizing the language of the game. Of the I thought it was really funny. The thing you said to me yesterday about the verbs and that you're like, this is just
you like words in English and stuff. The game is just giving you verbs to play with.
That it's a word game secretly, which is really funny. Yeah, I think what I like about it is that it is simple in that it has a very like obvious flow to it. And by that I mean, in case, you know, because maybe people haven't played the game, I didn't know about this until I started playing it, is that you can see like what move the enemy is doing like next. So it'll say like, oh, they're gonna like cast some type of debuff on you. That's what their next turn's gonna be. I think the game does a really good job of being like very casually playable. I think the risk is that like I enjoy being casual, so I'm like, well, I don't really have to like think about this too much, and that's not entirely true, but it's a little true because they do service a lot of information for you. Like when you hover over, it'll like explain what the things are, like without having to go into like additional menus. It's very easy to look around and see like what everything does. And they state it very like clearly in very plain language. You know, they really avoid the stuff we've complained about with other, even like Claire Obscure, right? Where it's like, these are like, you know, called just your Lumina points. It's like, we got like 8 names for like stuff that, you know, I'd say, okay, this is SP, this is like whatever. The game's pretty good at like using very common language. Like energy is not used by everybody, but it's a very common like term for that kind of thing. Yeah, so I like that aspect. You already know it has one of my favorite things, which is poison. I like poisoning people. I like my status effects. Yeah, and I think what I like about it is back to that, like how it presents the information, the flow of the gameplay. It does kind of funnel you towards like what you're doing per turn. So like, I feel like each turn you are either primarily blocking or primarily attacking. There's obviously going to be like variance to that, I'm guessing, as you go, or maybe like, I don't know, maybe there's a thing that's like each turn you don't attack, it builds some meter or like some BS like that. But like outside of that kind of thing, if an enemy's attacking, you're going to want to block that attack to some degree. So you'll probably be looking at your block cards. Again, maybe, I can weaken their attack, then I need to block less. There's like stuff like that. I know something that really irked you when I was playing was me not like reading everything like first and like really thinking of all the options. And just being like, well, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, you get your hand and you be like, all right, he's attacking. I'm immediately playing my block card. And it's like, you don't even know what the other 4 cards in your hand say.
I get the gist of it. But yeah, I do still stand by you all are ultimately like doing one of those two things. Sometimes you can combine them, and sometimes there's also cards that combine them where it's like, oh, well, I know I need a block and I can use this thing and it does block, but it also does damage, so I can like play this or whatever. I'm very into the cards that don't cost any energy, or the ways to like play with like, oh, I gain extra energy so I can like, you know, maximize like how much I can do in a turn. Yeah, I think that stuff is fun and like very like easy to see and enjoy.
Sure.
Yeah, I also think like there's good like variance in like the fight lengths. Like you're not always like fighting enemies that take forever to kill.
Sure.
Sometimes like, oh, it's weaker, but there's less of them, or oh, this guy's like not that strong, but he's got a lot of shields or something. Yeah, there's some fun variants there. But yeah, Slay the Spire maybe can be enjoyed by regular people. We'll see. I'll follow up later, but might be a for the freaks and non-freaks alike. Yeah, and I'm looking into like where I can snag a physical copy. Apparently Humble Bundle like did a print
maybe did the
of them. Maybe I can call around to some local stores and see if we luck out and they get it. It's still very specific, like a physical copy of an indie game.
Sounds like we're going to Retro Respawn.
Retro Respawn sponsor us. We never asked. I guess maybe they might be willing to. If I don't know, but I have the Retro Respawn shirt on right now, which is funny. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely call them that. There are. Is it? Did you find it or something?
I do see it here.
Like on their. So they have a. I didn't know they had a website like that.
Yeah. I see it here. They say they have it for Switch.
I'm down.
Slay the Spire. It is sealed, so it is a little more.
What? How? It's like 50.
55.
A little much. Okay, what if it was open? Like just. You know what?
Let's pretend like it's open.
I should get a discount for this shirt. I mean, that's what Kelsey does at Pink Gorilla. If you wear the merch there, so.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah,
we'll call around. There's a couple places we can check.
I like them. That could be fine. But
They're
yeah,
really
I don't.
Cool. Yeah,
I don't need it to be freaking sealed. I'm just gonna open it. So who gives a fuck if it's sealed or not? But yeah, you won this round, Nintendo. They're really playing the fucking 4D chess over here.
Yeah,
they're like game share
so bad,
just enough so that you like the game. You find games that you like, but you hate playing them this way. So you just buy your way out of them. Good job, Nintendo. But yeah, that's Slay the Spire. And now for the not game section. Can you believe it? It's already been 1 year since our last Anime Expo episode. Woo!
It is wild to think that we've doing it for like a year now. Do we even know when is our podcast anniversary? It's definitely passed.
Oh yeah, it's definitely passed. We had our studio anniversary around the start of the month. Yeah, I'll hunt around for the first publish or whatever. Okay, if you're sure you want to look it up. Yeah. But yeah, we had Anime Expo. Got to go again this year. Credentialed through MinMax, which is another company that I work for. Check out the MinMax show. Check out Pew Pew Bang. Those are the main podcasts I do. I do other Pew Pew Bang. Those are the main podcasts I do on there, and then we also have other content and all that. So check that out if you want more of my content, because I'm over there. And yeah, we live here in LA. Anime Expo is in LA, so it's kind of an easy. Hey, cool if I snag these passes, pop over, do some couple static posts on Instagram and stuff through our MinMax Instagram. So yep, cool. And then funnily enough, we end up doing mostly I think the deepest Anime Expo content we do is here on the show. Where last year I went and didn't know any anime, but went for the vibes. We just went through Artist Alley and the expo floor, and that was basically all we did. This year we wanted to do a little bit more, so we went to 2 panels, still hit Artist Alley, and we tried and failed to go to the Persona 5 concert, which we will get into more later. Wow, that line was long.
Yeah, it was insane.
But we got very lucky in that on Friday, which was the 4th of July, that's when I looked up, one of the first things I looked up when I was looking at the panels was Frieren, enter each day. Frieren, enter. It's the only modern anime that I like. So I'm like, obviously if they have Frieren stuff, I have to go. And they had a panel, but on Friday. So I was like, I guess I'll just go myself. And then Isaiah, you remembered, wait, I'm off on Friday for the holiday. Yeah. So we got to go together, which was like another 4th of July miracle. Cursed countries are right once or twice a time, as the saying goes. But yeah, so there you go.
So looked it up. Episode 1 was when we talked about Anime Expo.
Wow.
July 15th, 2024.
Oh my gosh.
Just shy of a year.
That's wild. Anime is how we kick this whole thing off.
Yeah.
Anime is an important part of our culture. Anyway, for those who know that TikTok audio, I'm sure it's from something, but I don't know what it's actually from. Yeah. So I guess we'll get into the Frieren panel first. I'm trying to grab the name of the panel. It was kind of just like an overall kind of thing going on. Here we go. I'm still losing the name, but it was it included Nobuhiko Okamata, the voice of Himmel, Koichiro Saito, the director, Yuichiro Fukushi, the producer, and oh no, hold on, this is not right. Nope, just kidding. This is last year's. What was this year?
Yeah,
I was like, wait, I'm missing some of these people. Yeah. Wait, what was? So did you have this year's in front of you?
No.
Oh well, still have to hunt. But it had the voice actor for Stark. It had the producer and it had the composer and a translator was there also to like assist. But yeah, so apparently they had this last year also with just different people. But yeah, it was just sort of like a general like panel. It didn't have like a specific theme. It wasn't like the making up. It was kind of just like, and the description was sort of, how was Frieren here? And what's there to be excited about? So it was very generic sounding.
Answer some questions. Kind of like, it seems like there was like, vetted write-in questions that they answered.
Definitely.
And which was honestly really cool. It was like way, I think more involved and better than I expected from a typical panel like this to be. And this is very much your, like when you think Comic-Con, you see just people on stage kind of like answering questions, saying what it was like to work on a project and blah, blah, blah. This one I think was a little bit more involved. They had the voice actor for Stark do some like live VO over like clips from the show, which I thought was really cool. They had the producer kind of like do live, or the composer kind of do some like live walkthrough of his flow for like how he would compose a piece for a scene. And they had like a little keyboard on stage. He like went over to it and would like play like, and this is how normally this character's theme is like this, do, and then but for this scene we wanted it to be more tension, so we did do. Yeah, like
also now I finally have the real information. Sorry, Bruce, I got excited there. Yeah, so it's Stark is voiced by Chiaki Kobayashi. The producer is Yuichiro Fukushi, and then the composer is Evan Call. So those are the three main people. That the translator was also there. I feel pretty much the same way. Like, I think this was, I'd have to see more of these types of panels to really compare it against other ones, but I thought it was like in that better tier of like how good it can be while still mostly being like a way to be like, hey, you like Frieren? We love Frieren too.
Yeah.
You're excited to see more. Like, it is inherently like that is the point of that. I mean, it's put on by Crunchyroll, right? So it's like, it is going to be nice, corporate, and a little fluffy. But for being fluffy, I felt like there was still some nice takeaways, which was all I was looking for. Like, I really liked with the Voice of Stark stuff. One, apparently this guy is like, he's got people in a chokehold. Because people in the audience were going wild for this man. I don't know if it's, I don't know his history as a voice actor. Like, I don't know if he's like super like iconic or if people just think he's like really hot because he's like not unattractive looking and plays like a guy in a show. I don't know. But people were very much like, oh my God, standing, throwing up. Like, they really like liked him a lot. But also I think seeing him, he seems very like charismatic. But he was really comfortable on stage. He was really fun. And he was like a really big fan of Frieren because everyone else, like, they were sort of asking like, how'd you get involved with Frieren? And they're like, well, like, somebody presented me with the manga, and I was like, this is gonna make a good show. And then the composer was like, they presented me with the manga and then the script, and I was like, I'm making my songs. And he's like, I'd been reading this manga a bunch. And then I got like the chance to like audition, and I was like, oh my God. And then one of the things he said was, it was because one of the questions was like, how do you emotionally relate to the show? Like, what kind of aspect of the show do you feel like you connect with the most, like emotionally? And he was like, I really connect with Himmel and him having this long-lasting impact after he's dead. And when I'm dead, I hope that you guys, 100 years from now, that you'll watch Frieren and my legacy will live on through my role as Stark. And I was like, whoa. I mean, that's a lot.
That's a fair point, though. We watch old movies of people who have like long since passed away and like remember them, or listen to old music of people who have long since passed, and it's like, they left art that is still talked about. Their legacy lives on, so that's fair.
No, it's totally fair. It's just like his answer was not like the other. You know what I mean? It was very like, I don't even know what everyone else answered for that question. I think honestly, it was one of those questions where like when I was hearing the answers, I'm like, they didn't really answer the question on this that much. Like, which sometimes also happens where it's like, I'm glad you asked me this. I'm going to kind of talk about this separate thing, and then you can decide how they connect thematically. Also, this voice actor definitely has done other stuff. They have like something in Gundam, Disney Twisted Wonderland, Great Pretender, SK8, The Infinity, Hell's Paradise, a couple other things, at least from just their like Wikipedia entry.
Sure.
So,
cool.
I don't know if that's also. Again, I don't know what the vibes were strong for this man. Like, people were excited to see this guy, which was funny because going into this, I'm like, I don't really care that much about Stark. And now I'm like, okay, I feel like I appreciate Stark a little bit more, which is, I think, another thing that I go into these panels, especially these more like kind of corporate-y ones, of like, can I gain something extra that I didn't have before I came in here? And I feel like I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That's a good.
Do you feel that? Like, what would you go into? Like, I guess me hoping to get out of it, and then what?
I went in with no expectations on anything.
You never have expectations.
No, because then you don't get disappointed. I went in like, okay, cool. We're gonna, hear about what it was like to record in a booth, and kind of to a degree of what they talked about. Like Stark as a character is a very like extreme emotions kind of character where he has these like really loud moments. He's like really whiny, kind of fade into the background moments, and like they can switch on a dime. And so like I am kind of curious, what is it like recording for a character like that? And, they talked about that a little bit, but like outside of that, I thought it was just going to be a lot of like honestly, I thought it was going to be more just about like going into season 2.
I also thought it'd be more about season 2 than it was,
which I guess kind of makes sense. You don't want to talk too much about it when nothing was even necessarily like fully announced or anything like that. But they did hint at some season 2 stuff.
Yeah, Stark will have a bigger role. I thought it was really funny that he was the voice actor for Stark was like, you may have noticed at the end of Frieren, Stark didn't really have anything he was doing.
Yeah,
but wait till you see season 2.
Yeah.
So, which is also funny. Like I never really thought about if he was like, I don't really have a lot of lines in this ending of this season. Something that I think definitely my favorite part, very biasedly, was Evan Call's stuff, because he was the composer for Frieren. Which the funny thing about that was it was one of those things where I had been meaning to go back to the OST of Frieren, because they do have like some vinyl collections. I like vinyl. I like Frieren. I'm like, maybe I'll get this at some point. But I'm like, I don't really like know any of the songs. Like they don't stick in my mind, which doesn't mean that the OST wasn't good. It just didn't end up like resonating with me super strongly. And I'm like, I should go back and check out what this was. And then seeing like they played like a clip from the show of one of the songs, and I was like, this is really good. And I probably still do feel it being good, because it's part of what makes the fights good is the music. So I know I was getting that, but it wasn't really like connecting with me in the same way. So I enjoyed getting a deeper connection with the music, but also like Evan Call, the composer, they had him do this little like, oh, can you walk us through your process? We have this shitty little Yamaha keyboard set up on the side with no fucking stand, no way to hold the mic, just out there and whatever. And it was really funny, because he was like, okay, like I'm not really a pianist, which is very common for like, one, he's a composer, so his job is writing the music, and sure, he has to play to like as he writes the music, but like he's not playing the music. And performance musician, totally different than like composer musician. And also I don't know what he would say his like specialty instrument is. Maybe he would say he doesn't have one. I don't know. But he was like, so yeah, like it's gonna be kind of like bad. And then like he played and he like messed up, and he was like, okay, like give me a second. And I ate every moment of that up. And I know you were like mentally there with me, because I play piano. I've been practicing piano for a number of years now. Started in the pandemic. It's piano in some ways feels like my Balatro. I'm better at piano than I am at Balatro, but it's like the amount of years I've been playing piano. Like when people say like, how long have you been playing? The how long I've been playing to how good I am at playing, like it does not line up in my head. I feel like I should be way better for having played for years. So, but like it's really hard because you have to practice a lot, and like everything's hard at the time. And then once you finish something, you do the next thing, and then that's so it's like him sort of like doing the combo complaint justification, and then in person seeing him mess up and then have to like immediately try to recover and then still have to do it and like play it right. It just felt very like I don't know, like I know that's true, but it's like I always kind of get a kick out of seeing a musician like go through something like that, because it's like very relatable to me. And I just enjoyed seeing that aspect of it. Not that I enjoyed seeing him fail. Like I would have been fine if he like did fine, but it was like, oh, like here's someone who has to like, damn. So he's stepping to this and he's just hoping it comes out right. And he's like kind of struggling to do this stuff or whatever. But yeah, and then a lot of the stuff he was talking about with composing is conversations I've had with my brother, who is my piano teacher, because I want to do some composition stuff for fun, and have like we've like looked at songs like that in ways of like, and then I'm starting to learn the like the keys a bit more and like chords a little bit more. And just seeing like what makes something like light versus dark, and when you'd want like dissonance, and like all the stuff he was saying was like textbook, like like it felt like so like familiar but also new at the same time. So I like really loved that stuff. Like music stuff's some of my favorite stuff to go to. So yeah, like that was definitely like a big standout part. But yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, it was a good panel. It was a good thing to see as a fan of the show without being like so in your face about the like makings of Frieren while still touching on things. It was nice.
Yeah,
it was good.
How did you like the before that we caught a little bit of the Demon Slayer, like they did like kind of a musical performance of, I guess,
like
key tracks from the song.
Yeah, I think
they had some VO stuff integrated with that too.
Yeah, they did. I thought it was cool. I'm not someone who is super big into the music of anime. Like I like, my openers, I like my credit songs, things like that. But like even compared to like video games, I do not listen at all to like the music from anime. So like I can appreciate the performance for the Demon Slayer stuff they did, kind of beforehand, but to me it was just like I'm here to see the Frieren panel, and I'm only here because I wanted to guarantee a seat to see the Frieren panel.
Yeah, which is something that like I thought was kind of weird with Anime Expo, where it's like there are certain ones, like they don't always clear the room, which I think is fair, but then like you do end up in these weird scenarios where I'm like, oh, I hope I'm not taking a seat from like someone who's just here for Demon Slayer, because like I don't care about Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
But it's like I can't do anything about that, so like whatever. I felt lucky that it was just a musical thing, because I thought it was like a Demon Slayer panel, and I'm like, that's about to be boring as hell because I don't know anything about Demon Slayer. But I'm like, oh, music, like I can hear a song, so like that's cool. So I felt like we lucked out on that. And then I think the last Frieren thing I want to say is, fun fact, first time I heard any of the show in Japanese, because I watched it in English.
Oh yeah.
So
I guess it's true.
So I was like, I guess this is what Stark sounds like when he's in Japanese. Like, yeah, like I don't know, I don't hear the show in Japanese, so it was interesting hearing the show in Japanese. Yeah, like I guess I'll kind of just leave it at that. I do kind of get the sense of, I understand what people are talking about with the like, oh, I like the Japanese better, like it sounds better. I think it sounds more like, I think the intensity sounds more intense. And I think, again, I still stand by, people can say I'm a conspiracy theorist, I stand by the fact that like some of the writing getaways in Japanese are just because you don't like hear, you like don't hear, like it probably sounds cheesy in Japanese. Like I feel like if it sounds cheesy in English, it probably sounds cheesy in Japanese. Mostly, I'm sure there's some things that are in, because I do, like, as someone that like knows Spanish, sometimes when I see how things are translated, I'm like, oh, it does sound better in Spanish, but it only sounds better in Spanish because I know Spanish. Like if I didn't know Spanish, it's just noise, and then I'm reading with noise. Like I don't know. So we'll see. The sub-dub drama continues, but it was interesting hearing
you'll land on one side or the other.
Yeah, I'm already on the side. Like I want to not have to read everything.
You're also new into it all. Like I feel like you also
I'm never gonna change.
You haven't given the sub show a shot. You know what I mean?
If I have to listen to, because I know you said it takes a while for like the dub to like populate. So if I have to do season 2 of Frieren as the sub, I will, because I'm not gonna wait. I will wait to do you said you want to do them all at once, so we can wait for that. But so maybe that'll be the case. But that was the Frieren panel. And then we also went to one of my nerd panels that you were very hesitant on.
Which was really cool. It was a panel with 3 like NASA scientists talking about the physics in anime. And I don't know what you thought this was going to be like going into it. I thought it was going to be like a breakdown of sort of like, if you see Goku punch a building or something like that, it's like, here's how much energy Goku's punch had and what is the equivalent in megatons.
I thought it would be more like that too. Yeah.
And instead what it was more like, here's science done in anime, and here's how accurate that science actually is. And maybe not like, you know, oh, the number they got to is right, because like you do have some fantastical elements, but more, is the science behind what they're doing sound? Like, is it based on principles that exist and are valid and testable and things like that? And so I thought that was really cool. It was totally different than what I expected going in, while still being like very entertaining.
Yeah, I had the same expectation. Also, yay, if I had an expectation for something. I had the same expectation, and yeah, it was exactly what you described. I thought it was fun for like, especially as someone that's newer to anime, getting to like hear about more anime that exists and like more of a different style, because I don't know, again, pretty much anything about anime, and I'm getting all my anime through you at this point. You're in charge of my anime, which I will still leave to be the same, because I'm having a fine time with you running my anime life. But it was cool seeing like, and again, I know these are anime, they're like, so people already know, but like, oh, Dr. Stone's an anime, or like the Planetes or whatever.
Planets.
Is it planets? It's spelled differently though. Planets, but yeah, like, in that being kind of like a sci-fi, like outer space anime. And it kind of reminds me of like, I started reading this manga, I forgot the name of it, but it's like God, what the hell's the name of it? It's like how animals are made, but like kind of with this like, it's sort of like looking at like heaven. Hold on, I have actually Google's figured out. I googled manga, how animals in heaven, and I think they found it. But I have to like dig a little bit more for the actual. I'll have to dig a little bit more for the actual like English things. I only see the art in like the Japanese, so it's like, well, I can't read this. But that's a manga that Heaven Design Team is the name of it, and it's a manga about being in heaven. You're like, and they're designers that work for God, and they're making different animals, and they go down. They have like a special area to like test, will this animal work in this world? Like, will it have this good combination of being like a part of the food chain, but also be able to like live, and then all these different things. And they'll be like, actually, like this one's too tasty. We'll like put him here, or like we'll make him less tasty, or different stuff. But then at the end of each chapter, because each chapter is based on an animal, they tell you about like the real science of the animal, which is integrated to the manga as well. So like I am somewhat familiar with like the general concept of like using science to make like a fun anime thing or manga thing. But yeah, a lot of those I hadn't like heard of before, and it was cool to like see or whatever. Frankly, it was definitely like over my head, because I'm not even like I like science theoretically, but I'm not like consuming science content. Like I'm not really like watching a lot of like sciencey like documentaries or docuseries things. Like I don't casually know sciencey things. Well, I think like a lot of the people in the room are like into science, so they might be like, oh, I've read these different casual books, and oh yeah, I know about like one of the questions they asked was like, do you know about like the debris in space and how it's da da da? And I'm like, and like and to be fair, half the room like didn't raise their hand for knowing about that, but it also felt like, damn, I gotta get on like knowing what's going on with this titanium rainfall that's gonna come down in 25 years and hit us in the skull or whatever. But I like the cast of people. They were like they were very like personable and like chill, and you got enough of the stuff that it was like fun still. Because even if you don't like fully understand the concepts, like just like one of the guys was talking about how the body deals with being in space, and how like in this one anime it's like, oh, you can kind of see that play out, and like these characters were like, she looks like way older than she is because she's like born on the moon, and if you really were like in space you'd have these different whatever stuff like that. So I thought that was cool. Would you go to that again? Because they have it every year, I guess. Like what was your thought on that symposium, I suppose?
I would. I think I'd definitely go again at least once, right? To see, does it continue to be not what I expect, or was this an outlier? And it usually is more, here's the punch force of Goku and like why this can't be real on Earth or something like that, which even that could be good and interesting, right? It's more, I don't know how interesting science can be given the context of anime. And so I'm definitely interested to see more of what they have to offer, but not so interested that I'm willing to commit to like going every year.
Yeah, it's funny because we weren't able to go to the other one because it was too early in the day, but like I realized my other nerd one I picked out was also in that room, and that's just like the nerd room. It's called like Jams at AX Symposium. But yeah, I thought it was cool overall. I hope to remember to like, I do want to put like in the feedback, like, can we get like a NASA girly pop on the panel? Because it was all like presumably dudes. Again, they didn't actually drop their pronouns, so maybe they're not. But that just would have been fun for, I think, spicing things up a little bit. Yeah. And I think because not to say that like women and men inherently like different anime, because I don't think that's necessarily true. But because a lot of them kind of brought their anime taste to the panel, it would have been nice to see like just a girly pop there. Also, you know, again, it's as someone in also male dominated field, it's always nice for there at least to be like one like woman involved. So that would have been cool. But I do also wonder if that's like, because it was kind of like we're colleagues and friends, and I'm like, y'all got any colleagues and friends? Like, you know, it's like, which is another problem that happens, you know, in the gaming space. Again, not to say that's what was happening here, but I would like to see that as someone who like enjoys seeing the girls come out for the content. But yeah, that was cool. And then we did Artist Alley again, walked through that. What was your feeling as you braved the thick crowds of Anime Expo?
So far, we're 2 for 2 on how can they make this any smaller. Like, it feels too packed. There's not enough space to move around. And I almost feel like it's a disservice to a lot of the artists there, because like so much stuff there does look cool and interesting, but there's just no room to stop and like really peruse. I feel like it feels very like functional in the setup and design, and not like if you contrast Artist Alley to like a farmer's market where it's big, it's open, it's outdoor, you can go from stall to stall and like just really glance at everything that someone has to offer and everything like that. I want to do that in Artist Alley, but I can't. Yeah. So, and maybe that's just me. Maybe that is like I just need to like plan a better time to like, I don't know, really give it like 4, 5, 6 hours of just like taking my time, fighting my way down each aisle and like strolling and to look at things.
I would say you can't spend that much time in there. Like, it just is too, it very much is you get in there, you got like, I would say if you were at a booth for 5 minutes, you're probably there actually a little too long, because that's how like packed it is. For those who maybe aren't familiar or haven't seen like a lot of like con setups, though also again, this is specific to Anime Expo, but it's like specific to really packed cons, because I've been to Artist Alleys that are much more like open and chill, or like boothy, which also like this is also kind of like a money thing too, right? Because there are artists at Anime, like one of the artists I follow is Lilums. Their booth, big like space, you know, like a store. It's like a pop-up store that they have. Now, granted, hey, shout out to you. You got the coin for that. They're a very successful artist. There are artists to shop from where it's like a very nice shopping experience. It's like you line up in the thing and then you go in, you can walk around and just chill. And it's really like a pop-up. But for Artist Alley, it's emphasis on the alley. It's like these are basically the equivalent of like if you had when you're a kid in gym class and you have your science poster board up, that is the shopping experience of Artist Alley. But imagine if they were like literally touching each other and there was like a cajillion parents walking by. Yeah, you have to constantly be walking down Artist Alley, which most people have gotten the memo, but just enough people haven't gotten that memo that's a little annoying to walk through. Yeah. And if you want to look at a booth, you have to kind of just pull over, you step in front of it. If other people are there, it's going to be a lot harder to like see anything or engage with anything at that booth. And then in my mind, you have a couple like, I don't know, like 2 minutes to decide like, hey, you buying anything or you're not? Because if you're not buying anything, you should just keep it moving, because also you want to see more of the stuff that's there. But yeah, this year for Artist Alley, I was a little personally disappointed, because I really wanted Frieren stuff. That's all I wanted. But not prints and posters, which admittedly a lot of people, you know, and I get it, is like something paying up and you have a lot of them. I didn't want a print or a poster of Frieren. I wanted just something, maybe like some keychain, plushie, jewelry, maybe something I didn't know I wanted, like a car, the carabiner, whatever, carabiners have become really popular because trinkets have gotten really popular. So a lot of artists make something, maybe some clothing, but like not a t-shirt.
Yeah.
So admittedly, I did have a more limited scope on what I wanted, but we looked at every booth and I did not find anything that I wanted.
And again, like you said, this isn't to say like what was there was not good or interesting. It just wasn't what we were looking for.
And I didn't want tapestry.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tapestries.
Had a lot of tapestry.
And also, look, I'm a little suspicious of all these tapestries. I gotta be honest with y'all. I'm starting to wonder, like, y'all making the same tapestry, like, separately? What's going on with that?
It was a lot of, like...
I don't want to drop any accusations, but I was a little suspicious of a couple things. Or I saw a couple pieces of art where it's like, I saw the same design at another, like the Himmel Mackinac Frieren picture. I saw the exact same. I'm like, now granted, maybe they just looked up like a reference image and just, but then also like, well, it's not in the show. A few like tiny things, but overall, I mean, I think Artist Alley is still like very much like people just doing their art. So
yeah. So I don't know. I also kind of expected and wanted less prints, which I understand why. It's very easy to get prints. It's very easy to bring prints to something like this and sell prints and everything like that. But I don't know. I wanted something more, not unique than prints, but just something more special than prints. And I didn't get special. There were like a lot of like acrylic-y, like keychainy kind of thing, trinkets, stuff like that. Which is cool, but it's of like the same, like an artist would have stickers of their art or an acrylic keychain of their art. And it's the same art. It's just one you're putting on your laptop and the other you're attaching to your keys. And it's like, well, that's great, but not what I wanted. I wanted, like you said, someone to have plushies, figurines, like some hand-painted minis or something of like characters from a show or something like that would have been cool. Instead, it was very much a lot of all the same stuff, which no shades to the artists. I'm sure it took a lot of credit or, a lot of hard work and dedicated and crafting your skill and everything like that. But it's just like, all right, well, I'm just seeing that everywhere. And so it's less interesting.
Yeah, I think the thing too, something I realized a difference between my experience with Artist Alley this year versus last year, which like, I wouldn't say this is on me, kind of is in a technical way, but I guess like advice I'd give, like something that I thought made my experience better. Last year, there were a couple artists I knew of already, and I knew they had a booth at Anime Expo. One of those was Lilum's, which is like, again, big bougie booth. But the other one was a much smaller artist. I'll try to find their name. I think it's like, it starts with a C. It's a Caramello, like Caramelo, I think. Well, actually, no, it's sorry. This is like, I guess they did like a collab with somebody, and that's how they made this thing. The artist is like _BAOMII, like Baomi, basically. Maybe they have a different handle on it. There's an Instagram handle. It might be slightly different on different socials. I've been following them for years. I found out they had a booth in Anime Expo, and one of the things I did last year was, and it was in that Artist Alley, and they were here actually this year also. And I was like, I want to check out their booth, and I went there and I checked out their booth, and I said to myself, you know what? Been following them for years. Literally right here now, no shipping, nothing. I'm just gonna buy some stuff from them. And I got Dumby, the little pink blush I had, and I got a little keychain that had like a milky chocolate bars like art thing on it. Use both those things really regularly in my life. Like both those things. Like that artist. Yay. This year I didn't have that. I didn't say like, oh, I know Stacy Stickers is here and I know I want to get a sticker from them. I did one thing I do want to say that's positive about Artist Alley is I did see a lot of art that I did like. I do think, in defense of the lack of like Frieren content that I saw that I really wanted, I think, no shade, my favorite artists at Artist Alley tend to be people that make original art, not just like fan art or like art of other IPs. Even though, again, I was looking for that, so I'm not shading that. If you're making Frieren art, let me know. I'm looking for you. I won't tell Crunchyroll. Like I won't sue. But yeah, so I did take some pictures and business cards from other artists that I saw where I was like, oh man, I really like this style. But it's a push and pull on like how much you want to go and like shop like that. And for me, I was like, I'm not going to buy anything because I just want to buy like some Frieren stuff, and just I ended up leaving with nothing at all. But hey, you know what? saving money.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I'll definitely look through my bag and my camera roll and give those other artists a follow. And then, it seems like good chance that we're just going every year to Anime Expo at this point. So then maybe that next year I'll be like, okay, again, I don't know. Stacy Stickers is here.
Yeah.
And then everything else we see is just like a bonus instead of being like, I'm looking for someone to like pair up to give money to. And I like didn't really feel like I found that booth that I was looking for. And I think also maybe just for like the Frieren stuff, if I could go back, I would have maybe put up something ahead of time just on the internet. Cause like, again, I have a decent following. Maybe I could have found some booths that are like, oh yeah, I have Frieren merch. And maybe there was merch there that I would have bought that I just didn't see.
Yeah.
Lightly doubt it because we did really try to look, but also you're looking left and right, like at each, like every 2 seconds for like hundreds of
sea of people.
Yeah, hundreds of booths. So like, I promised there was, I bet my life that there was something there I would have wanted to buy, but I just never really quite found it. So that was a little bit of a bummer. And not to make it just be negative, but I do want to speak towards our failed Persona 5 concert, which we can only talk about. We can talk about this briefly because Isaiah, what was what happened over here? What's going on with this Persona situation?
So you had mentioned in kind of the lead up and planning of like, what are all the things, what are all the panels we're going to try to go to and things to check out at Anime Expo. One of the things you had was you wanted to see this Persona 5 concert thing. And I'm like, all right, I never played Persona 5. I played Metaphor, and I like the music in Metaphor. So, like, Atlas apparently got some heat in finding and figuring out what music is making it into the game. So I'm down. Let's go. It was it is like a 3:30 on the Saturday kind of thing. So, like, in retrospect, should we have known that this was going to be a big ticket item that people were going to be interested in? Maybe, right? But to the degree that people were interested in, I don't think we could have been prepared.
Y'all wanted it more than me. y'all wanted it so much more than me.
This was an event that was scheduled for 3:30, and I think it was around maybe like 2:45, 3 o'clock. We start making our way towards the Novo, which is like the venue where the concert's happening. And this venue is like a standard, like kind of club performance-y kind of place. Like we went to a concert there before. It's like, very, very smaller venue concert location, but it can fit people in it. Right. And if you know downtown LA, like kind of crypto convention area, we leave out of the convention center and we start walking towards like the crypto arena, the Novu LA Live space. And as we're walking, it's busy out. It's Anime Expo. People are crossing the street and lining up for things and looking to come in and badging out. We start seeing like groups of people, and we're like, oh man, like I guess everyone's leaving, right? My thought process was, I guess it is kind of like, maybe people are getting hungry. They're looking to grab some food or whatever. Fine, they're in line for various vendors. And we keep walking, and the line's not getting any thinner. In fact, the more people are kind of conglomerating into like a section, and we keep walking, and we're crossing streets, and I'm still seeing this line here formed. And at a certain point, I'm like, there's no way this is for the Persona thing, right? And we stop and we ask somebody in line, like, hey, like, are you guys in line for something? They're like, yeah, this like Persona 5 concert. And me and you look at each other like, whoa, this whole line that we just passed is for this thing we're trying to get into. We're fucked. There's no way we're getting in here.
Yeah. Not only is there no way, there's no way I'd ever have gone because I just don't want it that badly.
Yeah.
My only regret from this was not asking the people towards the front line, hey, I'm curious, how long were you in line for? Because it has to have been the entire day. It has to have been the entire day. There were blocks of people and the line doubled around.
Yeah.
So everybody that was there, double it.
Yeah.
And this is not like nice, neat single file. These are clusters of people. These are like camps of people. Hot, 85 degrees, LA, downtown. Most of those areas, not shaded.
Correct.
Like the part like more towards like the actual sidewalk is shaded and stuff a little bit, but it goes from like the Novo, which again, if you know it, it is a little more meaningful. it's like snakes down. It's kind of like down this like internal block kind of situation. Then it goes around down like at least 2 blocks, and then there's like more blocks, and all those things have people. Genuinely, I have so many curiosities. How many people were actually able to get in? How many people got turned away? And more importantly, on that last part, why was there no one
telling people,
being like, hey, if the line's actually gonna stop here, and we can't even, with the light, like, hey, you're not guaranteed to get in, but like we know that everyone after this is not gonna get in, so just go. Because genuinely, it looked inhumane. Like, I gotta be so real with y'all. That did not look like it was cool at all. But yeah, the performance was Persona music experience with Lin Inayazumi. Apologies if I'm saying her name incorrectly, but that's the Japanese jazz and soul singer who is known for her vocal work on the Persona 5 soundtrack and its spin-offs. So the performance would be Lin performing the most popular songs from Persona 5 at this venue, and it also is her first performance in the United States like ever. So definitely a big deal thing. Like I never thought like we'll for sure get in. I'm just shocked the degree in which it looks like no one got in compared to how many people were there. Yeah, it was like wild.
There's no way like two-thirds of those people got turned away.
Yeah, easy.
That's how ridiculous the line was, and how I think you using the word inhumane is very accurate. How inhumane it was to have them continue to line up the way they did. There's no way. There's no way. Venue's not that big. Line was stupid ridiculous, and it doubled back. It was just, I felt bad. And then we did try to see if there was like, because again we're we got in through Min-Max and everything like, like, is there like a separate
little
like
press
corner line or something we can do?
Can stack some chairs together in the corner.
So no, they were like, if you didn't get reached out to by, what was it, like, Sega. Sorry.
Sega, what's good? I've been playing Persona 5 for like a whole year. Let me see this music. I will say, genuinely, that doesn't mean shit compared to Persona 5 fandom. These people, again, you want to talk about freaks? Shout out to the Persona 5 fans, because, shout out to Ash, mod and friend of my stream. These are the real sick individuals, Isaiah. Because these people, I've been playing this game for a year. I'm in 100-something hours. The people who like this game have played that game multiple times. Yeah. No, there's not like there's like two. There's like a regular end, the vanilla ending, and then like the Persona 5 like extra row. So there's like maybe a couple endings. I'll give you that, like, I guess. And like, is there people you can romance? I guess, but like,
yeah,
I'm never gonna like anything that much. Like, I just got charged into the game, like, so But yeah, I was again not shocked that we didn't get in, but I was just shocked by how much like. And I knew that it would be kind of crazy because it's Persona 5. And the number one flag that I was like, I told you earlier in the day, I'm like, I don't know if we're going to get into this Persona 5 thing. Because one of the first things I saw on the internet was a photograph of a bunch of like people in Persona cosplay. And the text on the image said, it's Persona Day. So these people were calling this Persona Day. Now, granted, they also said that because there was an official Persona 5, the the Phantom X panel. Like, so there were other Persona things happening that day, but like that told me all I needed to know. Yeah. I was like, okay, this is like their Super Bowl, their Christmas. Yeah. I was like, I'm not gonna make it here, but I hopefully, I'm sure it probably had like the no filming thing, but people always film, so I'd love to see some clips of it, or I'm curious how it was. I bet you it was really fun. Like, one, I know that the performance was gonna be good. Two, I know those nerds were going nuts. And I think it would have been nuts in a fun way, because like I think the energy would have felt fun. Maybe it would have been a little too much for you because you were not very into like the crowd woo woo wow.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little jealous. I'm a little hating on the people who got to go, because I just feel like it would have been a vibe. That's why I wanted to go, because I'm like, it's gonna be good music, and I know it's gonna be a vibe. They're gonna be like, it's like, oh my god, remember the nerds are gonna be cutting up. They're gonna be doing the shmees. They're joking the shmees.
Yeah,
like, anyway, so shout out to that. But hey, I mean, life's long. I'm sure there's lots of cool music performances for games that happen.
Persona 6,
you know, whatever. Like, I'm not that pressed about it. It's just that, like, I know it'd be good. Like, so I definitely didn't want it to go. I mean, that's why we tried it all. But holy cow, we had zero chance.
No, none.
So that's Anime Expo. Things I learned from this year. It definitely reminded me that, like, because for so much of my Expo experience is like PAX, which is like I mostly just do the indie games, and anything I do like has appointments also. So this reminded me of how much like a regular Expo is lines and it's crowds. And I definitely think the challenge of Anime Expo is like you really can only see for all these panels, all these cool things they have.
Yeah,
you really need to pick. Where it's like I think it is true. If we wanted to see that Persona 5 thing, we would have been like, you know what?
It would have had.
We're gonna be all day. We're just waiting in this line.
Yeah,
and we're just down for that. Yeah, and that's just us the whole Saturday. And again, it's like a 4-day event. I think Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah, so. You can throw a day to the Persona 5 concert and still like have your days, but it definitely does seem like you got to pick your shots a bit. And yeah, I think going into Artist Alley with some artists in mind is like, I think hugely beneficial towards like getting some good items under your belt, or maybe even just like limiting it, but spending more time. You know, there's different ways we could have approached it. We wanted to see kind of all of it, which is very time intensive and pretty tiring. But what were some of your Anime Expo 2025 takeaways?
I think it was pretty cool that we got to see 2 panels more than we did last year. So and I enjoyed both the panels. So I think for future Anime Expos, it's definitely like, all right, let's actually take a look at what these panels are looking like. Let's see what's interesting. Can we scope it out? Can we make a schedule that like allows us to see maybe like 1 or 2 key ones ideally each day that we go. I still think like most cons, doing the full 3-4 day every day you're going there, while that is probably like best for seeing all the things you want to see, I think just for me personally that's too tiring.
Yeah.
I enjoyed our 2-day kind of adventure this year. I'd totally be down to stick with that again. Kind of like you said, looking into any artists that you follow that might be there, as well as just seeing like the list of vendors they have, and maybe like even going backwards, where it's like, okay, these are the people that are going to be there. Does anyone here have something that like learning about artists from the list that's going to be there? I think I might look into that next year and, you know, take a glance, see what people have, work backwards from it. So every year we're getting a little bit better at how we Anime Expo, and
I would love for
next
like
year
3 we have to like be full on in cosplay for this episode.
That would be a lot. Maybe I'm not gonna say no, but it would be a part of that evolutionary step taken towards Anime Expo.
You just show up in like your Joker costume. Cool. Oh, I think this is super late, but one thing I forgot to mention from the Frieren panel, they showed us the world premiere of the season 2 trailer teaser thing.
Mm-hmm.
That was just like a cool, nice to have, a little treat. So yeah, that was cool. It's like, ooh, this is like, it's like, oh yeah, you guys really like did a little something with this. That's nice. Yeah. This is nice. Okay, cool. All right. Well, that brings us to poll of the show. Okay. Anyway, so we had for the games question, we said gaming during work break. Also, I got a compliment on this segment from like I was streaming on Twitch, and someone said that they got a kick out of the game at work, like so the majority of you said it depends on whether or not you're gaming during that work break. 46%, followed up by nah, I ain't gaming. 38%. We had 7%. Depends on who the other people who may see me are.
Yeah, so
I've done some casual gaming on my phone because nobody really knows what you're doing on it.
Yeah, it's like, was he just like watching something? He's probably just watching something. Yeah, you know.
And then one person said, "Yeah." So shout out to that one person that said, "Yeah, you know, I do." I
guess we're just not gaming at work, which is fair, understandable. I get it. I just was surprised it was such a low response for the yay.
I'm kind of almost proud of the audience because I think it's the right move.
Oh no, it is definitely the right move. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately. Though, you know? One day society will get there where playing Slay the Spire looks the same as reading a book, okay? For when do you usually go to
on
sleep?
iPad, it could go. You could fool them now.
Yeah, maybe. They're like, what are you doing? I'm reading some articles, like fighting the spire. I don't know though. Okay. For when you usually go to sleep, we had a couple different options. The lead, I guess there's like some ties, right?
Yeah, it's honestly, it's kind of like a 4-way. It's pretty evenly split between like a 10:30, 11, and then like a 1 or 3. Like it is, you are
no land of no in between here.
No, no one's going to bed at midnight. No one's going to bed at 4 a.m. kind of thing. A couple people are as early as 9:30, which honestly kind of impressive. I want to be that one day, not today.
I don't. Don't go that far. That's too far for me.
But yeah, no.
9:30.
People are kind of sitting with our 11:30 or 10:30 kind of like time. We're with some of our community here.
Nice.
You know.
Wake Up was kind of similar. Like the dominating ones were like a 6, 7, 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Which I also feel like that's, when it's a work day, we're getting up in that 6 range. When it's a weekend, we seem like we're getting up in that 8 range.
Yeah.
I also think a 2-hour variance is like a good max amount of like,
yeah,
hey, stay up late because it's the weekend. Well, don't stay up too late because then you're going to have to reset the whole thing. So
yeah.
Are you a shopper or a non-shopper? Most of y'all are non-shoppers.
Non-shopper, my people.
Non-shoppers.
Yeah. What are we shopping for? Why? We know what we like. We go in, we get it, we bounce. You know, we're not.
I would argue a lot of you don't know what you like, and that's why you don't go in and get in and bounce.
I think a lot of it. No, I would say we do, and there happens to be a lot of graphic tees.
I think a lot of you
shorts,
are like,
but that's okay.
Oh, my cousin bought me this like a year ago, and I was wearing it because it fits me. But it takes all kinds. So yeah, we got the shoppers and non-shoppers. Then we have the optional. Anything else you'd like to share? Right, we brought up the mispronunciation stuff from the, what do we say, like loon instead of lune and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if this counts as mispronunciation, but for all my childhood, I thought everyone doing the finger air quotes was saying quote unquote. So that's what I would say. Oh no, I don't think anyone else ever heard the difference with me saying it wrong, so no one ever corrected me.
Yeah.
Interjection here. Something I've learned is, as someone that often has like things that aren't correct, and because I podcast and like no one corrects me, people just don't be correcting you. I'm sorry, like it sucks because I was doing that that backslash, the infamous backslash of Kind of Funny, where people were like, yeah, it's not right, it's like it's just slash. I'm like, okay. Or then the P's and Q's was misusing that.
Mm-hmm. You were misusing it. What do you mean?
It doesn't mean that you're like on it. Like
what?
Your P's and Q's.
To be on your P's and Q's?
Yeah, it means mind your manners. The people who say, and I wonder also if maybe it's like a POC split, because I always thought that is like you're on your shit.
Yeah, like I'm double checking things. I'm on top of it.
No, like when you like, I mean, again, maybe there are just two ways to use it, and the way that we use it is not like documented on the white man's internet. Yeah. But Wikipedia says mind your P's and Q's is an English language expression that means mind your manners, mind your language, be on your best behavior, watch what you're doing. Which is funny. I actually heard you listening to a TikTok about the P's and Q's. Yeah. It's so then I'm like, well, how did I mess this up? Because I swear I heard it from other people, but yeah, I have no idea. Wow. No idea. And when you Google it, everyone just says it means mind your manners or whatever.
Today I learned, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. But that's what I have many things where it's like not right. Or there's a couple little things that I just mess up where it's like not this, but it'd be like if I mixed up translucent and transparent, it'd be like something like that, like little weird things. That one I do know, but stuff like that. We also got really feeling the conversation on game time, work-life balance, recently forced to switch from full-time remote to full-time in office with a 20 to 40-minute commute. Each way, it's been taking a toll. The Alters is also a game I'm also trying to finish, and after writing project plans and managing timelines at work for 8 hours, sometimes it's not the vibe.
No, it's not. There's so many games. I want to start so many long games, but I get home now and I'm like, I just want to relax. I'm tired of looking at screens. Kojima needs you. I know.
Do you want to read the last one?
And then we have someone coming in. I'm currently unemployed, hence going to bed at 2 a.m. or later. I feel that. At my previous job, I had to wake up at 5:15 or 8:15, and I'm just not that kind of person.
That's 3-hour gap is
it's
wild.
Diabolical.
I hate the 3-hour gap.
Again, unless it's like kind of like us, like, oh, I have to be in the office, I need to wake up this early, but for like some work from home days, I can sleep in a little bit. I can get with that. If it's just like the way they just schedule me means that on a dime, I could be waking up either at 5:15 or 8:15. Oh, that's rough.
Well, this is like we're getting into that debate of almost of like what's the worst shift, and like that mid shift is the worst.
Yeah,
3 to 8 or something.
Yeah, when you can't do anything really before, and you also really can't do anything after. You just dedicate your day is just work. I hated those days. Oh, I hated those days.
And that brings us to this week's poll of the show. Again, the poll of the show is always at gamesandnotgames.com/poll. And this week we're going to be asking about Slay the Spire and Anime Expo. I'm guessing just like experience with each thing.
Yeah,
it's kind of going to be some of a range of that. But anyway, that's it for this week. As we approach our 1-year anniversary, you can send us your questions and topics to the email inbox@gamesandnotgames.com. You can follow the podcast version of the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pocket Casts, and everywhere else you get your podcasts. If you enjoy the show, be sure to give us that 5-star rating.
5
Cinco
stars.
Diamantes.
And if you're an audio listener, remember that you can get the video version on YouTube at Games and Not Games. If you like the video, be sure to give us a like and leave a comment, as it helps us get the show in front of more people. Be sure to give us a follow on social media, pretty much everywhere at Games and Not Games. That's mainly Blue Sky and Twitch. And until next time, gang gang.
Gang gang.
Peace.